I went on this great 7-night cruise in the Mediterranean in early May 2022. We started in Civitavecchia, which is the port of Rome, then went to Naples, then to the island of Crete, then to Kusadasi in Turkey, then to Istanbul, then to the island of Mykonos, and ending in Athens, where I stayed for an additional 3 nights. Now that I'm home from my trip, I've started thinking about this cruise, and I wanted to go through them one at a time and decide which one was my favorite. My friend Maureen and I had already been in Italy for a week before my cruise, so we spent a day in Rome before she flew home. Here we are at the Trevi Fountain, which was extremely crowded but still beautiful. And we also went to the Spanish Steps. We spent the night at the Rome airport, and then the next morning I took the train to Civitavecchia, which is the port city. So there's the port of Rome. Civitavecchia is the name of the town. Behind me, I don't know if that's my ship or if that's a Royal Caribbean ship that's in port, but I'm walking from my hotel to the port, and it's only like a 15-minute walk, and it's a beautiful day. The first port was Naples, Italy. I took a tour to Pompeii. Oh wow, look at the... Mamma mia!
Step down, don't miss that.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. You can see in the pictures just how happy I was to be there. I've wanted to be there since the 60s, and it was just amazing. I did a video just on Pompeii. I'll put the link in the description below. I really recommend this tour. Here we are, pulling into Heraklion, the main port of Crete. I didn't go on a tour on Crete. I walked across town to the museum. This is the placard for it. It was a really good museum. I'd already gone to the one really famous place on Crete, the most famous place. It's called the Palace of Knossos. It was inhabited from 7000 BC through 3000 BC. Here's an artist's rendition of what it used to look like. And here's what it looks like now. I saw this when I was in Crete in the 70s, so I decided to do something different on this trip, but this is well worth a trip. The thing I liked the best in the museum was the frescoes that they had of bull leaping. I remember when I went to the Palace at Knossos seeing these, and it was a sport. It just seemed so bizarre, but it was like their top sport. There were just really neat statues like this, and this is alabaster, which I first saw in Egypt in the 70s. I just think it's so interesting because you don't see this many places. After I left the museum, I just walked up on this hill and went through a neighborhood. I walked quite a ways. It was a lot further than I thought it was. This is the view that I was treated to, and then I had to walk back down into the ship. But it was good, and I see so much more when I walk instead of take a taxi. The next port was Kusadasi in Turkey. The reason to go there is to go on a tour of Ephesus, the ancient Roman temples at Ephesus. I missed that tour on the Mediterranean cruise I took in the 70s because I was sick, so I wanted to do it this time. It was worth the amount of money that I paid, but I would not go out of my way to go to Kusadasi again. They forced us to go first to this, they call it the Virgin Mary's house, and it was a total waste of time. A, who's ever heard of this? B, it's some lady built it and dedicated it to the Virgin Mary. Big deal. The line was very, very long. Literally, we spent as long there as we did in Ephesus, and that really infuriated me. And the cruise line did not offer any tours that did not include this. I don't recommend it. The tour of Ephesus was fine and worth the money. They've only uncovered about 15% of what is actually here, they estimate. This is the sign of a doctor. I don't know what you call it, but this is supposedly the first place that this symbol was used. They still use it around the world to indicate the medical profession. This is the goddess Nike. I tried to get a picture with no one in front of it, but tour group after tour group camped in front of it, so at least you can see Miss Nike. Here's the thing that I remember my dad and my uncle laughing about from the tour that they took in the 70s that I missed. This is the men's bathroom, the public bathroom. I assume the women had one somewhere, but this is the men's. And then here's the long downhill going down into the merchant area, which was pretty cool. And then, just like in Pompeii, they had to tell us this foot here in the sidewalk was meant to show the men who were coming to town where the brothel was. So it's a little more discreet than in Pompeii. A troupe of actors did a short play every 15 minutes with music showing what life in Ephesus may have been like. After the tour, they drove us the 30 minutes back to Kusadasi. Unfortunately, instead of taking us back to the ship, they took us to a carpet sales showroom. Most of the people just walked right in, and I thought, no, I paid for the tour. I'm not going to buy a rug. It's a waste of my time. And so I declined and walked back to the ship. Luckily, it wasn't very far away. Kusadasi was definitely my least favorite port. Pulling into Istanbul was really fantastic. Very exciting to finally be there. You can see so much pulling in. You can see the whole city when you're pulling in. And just about everything was walking distance. There were a lot of mosques on my walk. This is one of them. Then I went across the bridge, and there were a lot of people fishing, which was pretty cool. When I went to eat lunch, I had to go to the bathroom, and I haven't seen one of these since the 70s in the Middle East, a squatty potty. But actually, last month when I was in France in a small town up in the mountains at a museum, they had a squatty potty. Not easy for someone with 2 knee replacements. So I walked looking for the Grand Bazaar. It was a lot harder to find than I thought it would be. The signs would lead me one place, then the other, then the other, then the other. This was not it. At first I thought maybe it was the entrance to it. It wasn't. I just kept going, and finally I asked the right person, and they were able to direct me to the real Grand Bazaar. And it was pretty spectacular, I have to say. I love these lanterns in the background. I wish I could have bought some. I wanted to buy some presents for the people I was going to visit, so I got some Turkish delight. I found this great shop that it was handmade, but I bought 2 boxes, and oh my gosh, it was not only expensive, but it was so heavy. I decided I couldn't carry both of those boxes because I just had a carry-on. So I gave the second box to my new friend Gail, who I met on the cruise. And she was happy to get them, and I was happy to not have to carry them across Europe. And walking back, you see a bunch of mosques again, and it was a very pretty city to walk around. I did notice that the backgammon is very big in Istanbul. I guess in Turkey in general. Maybe I knew that a long time ago, but I had forgotten. I was just surprised to see at many outdoor cafes they had backgammon boards already for playing. So anyway, Istanbul was a very interesting city, and I really enjoyed it. The sail into Mykonos was really beautiful. Here's what the town looks like from the ocean. Here we are docking in Mykonos. Here's looking back at the ship, and I've pointed out where you buy the tickets for the boat bus to town. The line was so long by the time I got there that I decided to walk. I would not recommend it. It was A, very long, and it's very hot, and B, a little precarious. By the time I got to town, I wanted a cold beer, and Mykonos town is very expensive. It was really hard to find a place that would let me have just a beer and not a meal. Then I went walking through town, and it is all whitewashed like this and beautiful stone walkways, and then I kept climbing. I was climbing because I was looking for one of the famous windmills. And it looks like it's been recently renovated. Here's the view from up there. It's pretty cool. But the funny thing is, if I had taken the boat bus, I would have seen what I was looking for as soon as I got off. Because here they are. They're right in the port where the boat bus drops you off. These were made famous by the Disney movie called The Moon Spinners in the 60s with Hayley Mills, who was like my favorite actress back then because she was not much older than us. Here's the windmills, and then just to the right is behind this, to the left of that sailboat you see out there is where the boat bus docks. So I just wanted to show how beautiful and clear the water is. The cruise ended in Athens, and this was my favorite port. I hadn't been there since the 70s, and I loved it just as much as I did back then. And the Greek people were very friendly also. I stayed 3 nights in an Airbnb. My favorite thing was I walked to the Acropolis in the morning, so I got to go into the Parthenon when it first opened, and it was really spectacular. It was very hot while I was there, but in the morning was okay. And look at this view. I mean, just amazing. Well, here I am after how many years? 47 years back on the Acropolis with the Parthenon. Missing my mom and dad today for sure. We had such a good time here. And Aunt Jean and Uncle Tom. It's already hot, and it's 8:10. And I don't remember what time we were here, but it was really, really hot. They've redone the walkway, which is nice. You don't have to walk on the craggy marble. I'm sure a lot of people fell. But here I am. Woohoo! After I was done on the Acropolis, I spent about an hour there. Then I walked down the hill, and there's the Agora, which was the marketplace, the meeting place of everyone, the place to be in the ancient Greek world. Here's what it looked like before. Here's what it looks like now. And this building here became a museum, which had it was very small, but it had a lot of good stuff, such as this, a 6th century BC child's toilet. I mean, so long ago. And look, this was how they would get their kids to go to the bathroom. I mean, that's amazing. And here was how ancient Greece did their jury system, picking their juries. Each citizen would have a metal piece with their name on it, and they would put it here into a slot, and then they would have sort of like a lottery system, like bingo with balls, and depending on which line came up, everyone in that line was on the jury that day. Really, most of the things that we do now, government-wise, came from ancient Greece. They were way ahead of their time. You just can see so much. Wherever you are in this part of Athens, you look up and you can see the Acropolis, which is pretty impressive. And you're walking around town and just go around a corner, and then there is a temple that's, 2,500 years old. It's just amazing. Then this is the Plaka, which is probably the most famous neighborhood in Athens, and it's mostly walking and lots of shops and restaurants. And what I liked about it is really good things to buy, nice restaurants, and even though there are a lot of tourists always in the Plaka, the locals are there too, and I never felt any hint of like trying to scam the tourists, which in such a touristic place was refreshing. So when all is said and done, here are the ports in my order of preference. Number 1 was Athens. I just loved it, and if you are a history buff, I believe you would too. My second favorite is Naples. I really know nothing about Naples, but the Pompeii tour alone gets Naples the number 2 slot. Number 3 is Istanbul, for being just such an iconic city and also quite walkable. I was surprised how easy it was to walk everywhere that you wanted to go. And the Grand Bazaar was really fantastic. Number 4 is Mykonos, for being such a beautiful port. The town is very close to the dock, which is great. The windmills are beautiful. It loses a little bit of points just because it's so expensive, and there are so many restaurants there that are scams that have been in the news lately that really overcharge you. So you need to be careful if you go someplace. It's really a beautiful island. Number 5 is Civitavecchia, simply because of its proximity to Rome. If you don't go into Rome, then this would be my number 7 pick. Number 6 is Heraklion, Crete. If you go to the Palace of Knossos on a tour, then this would climb in the preference order, because Knossos is really a great tour. By itself, I would say Heraklion it's okay, but not someplace that I would fly, for instance, to spend any time. Kusadasi is my last. It just did not impress me. The city of Kusadasi did not impress me. The locals did not impress me. It seemed like everything was about money there. I just didn't get a comfortable feeling there. Thanks a lot for watching.